The trees were quiet. Too quiet. No birdsong, no rustling. Just the crunch of gravel under Emily's boots and the distant hum of her friends laughing ahead. She lingered behind, eyes scanning the twisted branches of Pine Hollow, known by the locals as Pigman's Wood. They'd all heard the stories, a man in a cracked, stained pig mask, roaming the forest after dark, asking for candy in a voice that didn't belong to anything human. Some said he was cursed. Others whispered he'd made a deal, trading his soul for eternal laughter and a place in the circus that never stopped performing. Underground. Emily never believed in ghost stories. Until now. "Come on, Em," Jake called out from up the trail, waving a flashlight. "You're gonna miss the sunset." She picked up the pace, brushing past a crooked sign half buried in dirt. The words were almost gone, faded by time and moss, but she could still read them. "Don't feed him." The forest felt heavier with every step. Shadows clung to the edges of trees like they were watching. By the time she caught up, her friends had set up camp near the clearing, the exact spot the town kids always dared each other to visit. A ring of stones, burned-out candles, candy wrappers, old and brittle, scattered like confetti, the remnants of someone else's dare. "Let's tell the story again," Mia grinned, setting down her bag. "You know, for old time's sake." "I'll pass," Emily muttered. "Oh, come on," Jake teased. "It's just a legend. You leave candy, Pigman shows up. If you ignore him, he vanishes. But if you feed him," he wiggled his fingers like claws, "he drags you to the circus," Mia laughed. "And you get a red nose and a pig snout. Forever." Emily forced a smile, but kept glancing at the tree line. The sun dipped. The sky turned blood orange. And somewhere deep in the woods, something snapped. A branch, heavy, deliberate. The laughter died. "Probably a raccoon," Jake said too quickly. They gathered around the small campfire as night fell hard. The woods closed in, thick and silent. Then, a low grunt. Not an animal, not a person, something in between. A tall shape emerged from the darkness, leather jacket, rotting pig mask, empty candy sack in his hand. He stopped at the edge of the firelight. Nobody moved. The pig man tilted his head, slowly, and asked in a voice that rattled like bones, "Do you have anything sweet?" Emily's heart pounded. She reached into her pocket. A single candy bar. She could throw it, or say no, or run. But her hand moved on its own. She fed him. He smiled, and the circus music began. Emily didn't remember falling. One moment she was by the fire, candy bar in the pig man's hand. The next, darkness, cold, wet earth, and music. Not music like you'd hear at a party or even in a nightmare. It was twisted, warped, a calliope grinding out sour notes, echoing through trees that shouldn't have had tents in them. Yes, tents. Red and white stripes stretched from branch to branch, defying logic. Carnival flags fluttered from leaves. A tightrope hung between two blackened trunks. And below it all, laughter. Not joyful, not human. The kind of laughter that scratched at your bones and chewed on your nerves. Emily stood, dizzy, surrounded by fog. Her friends were gone. "Jake," she called. "Mia?" No answer. Just a soft jingling sound, bells or chains. Something shuffled nearby. She turned toward it, a small figure wearing a clown costume 2 sizes too big. Its mask was stitched from fur, its hands were hooves, and its mouth, wide and crooked, opened to say, "Welcome to the show." Emily backed away, but every step only led her deeper. The trees grew thicker, the air heavier. And now she could see them, dozens of animal people in faded clown suits. A fox with a cracked ceramic grin. A goat chewing on a balloon. A rabbit juggling its own teeth. They circled her slowly, humming a tune that didn't belong in this world. Then the ringmaster arrived, 7 feet tall. painted face stretched into a permanent, dripping smile, and over it all, the same mask as before. Pig snout, black glass eyes. He raised a white-gloved hand. "Tonight's act," he boomed, "is brand new." Emily tried to run. The ground shifted beneath her like a spinning stage. Spotlights cut through the fog. Applause echoed all around. A sign lit up in dripping red letters above her. "Emily, live, one night only." And somewhere, just out of sight, Jake screamed. Jake's voice was faint, a broken cry swallowed by laughter. Emily stumbled through the twisted carnival woods, pushing past vines that felt more like veins. Her breath hitched every time she saw movement, some animal-headed clown slinking into the shadows, giggling behind stitched-up masks. She reached a clearing. A circle of cages stood under the spotlight of a single floating lantern, swaying in air that had no wind. In one of them, Jake, bruised, barely conscious. His hands were tied with red ribbon, mouth gagged with a party horn that squealed every time he breathed. "Jake!" Emily rushed forward, only to be yanked back by a sharp grip. She turned. A monkey-headed clown grinned at her, juggling 3 sharp knives while standing on one foot. It bowed low, chattering nonsense, then stepped aside. The pigman was there, closer now. His mask was cracked. She could see pieces of something fleshy moving underneath. His voice rumbled like wet gravel. "You gave me something sweet, so I gave you a seat." He gestured to the cages. Emily stood frozen, her knees shaking. "You want to trade?" he asked, tilting his head. "You can have his cage, if you make the crowd laugh." Suddenly, dozens of glowing eyes blinked open in the trees. The audience had arrived. Animal people of every kind, clapping, howling, drooling. A stage rose from the ground beneath her. Spotlight on, Jake wheezing in panic. Emily didn't know what to do, but if she didn't act, they'd both be gone by morning. Part of the show, forever. The wooden stage groaned beneath Emily's feet. A twisted spotlight followed her every movement as she stood at its center, heart pounding, eyes fixed on Jake's cage just a few feet away. The pigman loomed off to the side, arms crossed, waiting. From the shadows, the crowd watched in silence. Creatures wearing balloon animal limbs, snarling behind party masks stitched from real fur. They didn't blink. They didn't move. They waited to be entertained. Emily swallowed hard. "What? What do you want me to do?" she whispered. The pigman pointed to an old trunk beside her. It creaked open on its own, revealing makeup, a red nose, and a polka-dot clown suit. The crowd began to giggle. Low, rumbling, hungry. Emily stepped back. "I'm not putting that on." A horn blared, loud, angry. Jake's cage shook violently, ribbons tightening around his wrists. The pigman leaned close. "You want the cage, little clown. You play the part." Tears welled up in her eyes as she reached into the trunk. She slipped on the nose. The giggling grew louder. Next, the suit. The sleeves were too long, the fabric wet and sticky. She didn't ask why. A drum roll echoed from nowhere. Emily was shoved forward. A rubber chicken fell from above and landed at her feet. A microphone rose from the stage floor, splattered with grease paint. She grabbed it, trembling. Why did the chicken cross the road?" she stammered. The crowd watched, silent. "To get away from this nightmare." A beat of silence. Then the front row burst into screeching howls. Not laughter, not amusement, more like a feeding call. The pigman clapped slowly. Jake's cage unlocked. He collapsed to the ground, coughing. Emily turned to run to him, but the floor vanished beneath her. She fell, straight through the stage. Screams, clapping, laughter. She landed in darkness, surrounded by mirrors. Each one showed her face, but with different masks. A fox, a rabbit, a bear, a pig, and behind her, The pig man stepped through the glass. "You were funny," he whispered, "but everyone plays more than one role in this circus." Emily bolted through the endless hall of mirrors, breath ragged, legs trembling. Each reflection warped her face, stretching her grin, painting her skin, dressing her in a new twisted version of herself. One mirror showed her as a lion-headed ringmaster, another as a weeping goat with no hands. She didn't stop to look. A door appeared ahead. Red, dripping. She pushed through. Inside was silence. The room was long, lined wall to wall, with costumes hanging from hooks. Clown suits, tuxedos, animal pelts, some still breathing, some still twitching. In the center, a mannequin stood with its arms outstretched. A costume was half-assembled on it, a clown body, furred hands, and a mask that looked just like her own face. Smiling. Emily stepped back. The door slammed shut. Then the lights flickered. Voices whispered, dozens of them. "She's not dressed yet, not ready to perform. She'll be late for the finale." A giggle from the corner. Low, familiar. She spun around. Mia, or something wearing Mia's skin. Her eyes were too wide, her joints too loose, and her mouth stretched as she spoke. "You always hated clowns, didn't you?" Emily backed toward the far wall, where rows of animal masks stared down at her from dusty shelves. "You could have left," Mia Thing whispered, stepping closer. "But you fed him." Emily grabbed a mask at random, a deer's skull painted red with circus swirls. She flung it at the mannequin, smashing it to the ground. Instantly, every costume in the room twitched. Hands reached from inside sleeves, mouths opened beneath collars. The room breathed. The mirror behind her cracked, and the pig man appeared again. "Final fitting," he growled. "She's ready." Emily screamed as dozens of costumed arms reached for her, pulling, stretching, stitching her into something new. Her mouth was forced into a smile, her eyes wide, her voice gone. When the door opened again, the room was silent. Only one thing remained, a new costume, hanging still, waiting for its next performer.